Islam Makhachev's manager Rizvan Magov has taken a completely different stance from coach Javier Mendez about a potential super fight with Ilia Topuria. This is getting interesting. Despite Topuria having just one fight at lightweight in the UFC, coach Mendez recently supported the idea of giving him an immediate title shot during an interview on Submission Radio. But UFC legend Khabib Nurmagomedov doesn't agree at all. He believes El Matador needs at least one significant victory in the lightweight division before even being considered for a title opportunity. In a recent post on X, Islam's manager Rizvan Magov was very clear about what he thinks Topuria needs to do. He suggested Topuria should face either Dustin Poirier or Charles Oliveira to prove he belongs in the division. Topuria versus Dustin or Charles as a contender fight to prove he's a legit lightweight, so we don't have to fight another featherweight. We need big fights that make sense for everyone. Magov was referring to Makhachev's two previous title defenses against Alexander Volkanovski, the featherweight champion. Islam successfully retained his belt both times, but the team clearly wants different challenges now. El Matador's decision to give up his featherweight title wasn't random. It came as a direct response to the UFC's new rule about two-weight championship pursuits. Under this rule, if a current UFC champion wants to fight for another belt, they must vacate their current title first. This effectively ends any possibility of following Conor McGregor's famous champ-champ path. With UFC 314 and UFC 315 already announced, Makhachev could potentially make his next title defense at UFC 316, which is tentatively scheduled for June. The lightweight division is heating up with possibilities, as Dustin Poirier waits for news on what will likely be his final fight. He's keeping a close eye on everything happening in the lightweight division. Islam Makhachev has hinted he might pursue a second title, though his next move remains uncertain. While moving up to welterweight seems logical, Makhachev has shown hesitation because of his close relationship with current 170-pound champion Belal Muhammad. Instead, he suggested that moving all the way up to middleweight might be more likely for him. Poirier, however, has serious doubts about whether such a big jump would work for Makhachev. I think Islam would do really well at 170 pounds. 185? The guys are just too big. Islam's a big guy. He can fight 170 for sure. He could become the champion at 170, I believe, but 185 is pushing it, I think. On the potential Topuria matchup, Poirier offered a thoughtful analysis. At lightweight, if Ilia can stop Islam's takedowns, his boxing's better than Islam's. He's a bigger puncher. Islam's technique is getting a lot better on the feet. He's kind of crafty and elusive. When I fought him, he fought at a weird range, but the size difference is just too much for Ilia, I believe. After scoring impressive knockout victories over Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway in 2024, El Matador quickly set his sights on a title fight against Islam Makhachev. With both fighters contemplating career-changing moves, the lightweight division continues to be absolutely captivating. As Poirier approaches the end of his storied career, he remains an active observer, offering valuable perspectives on the constantly evolving landscape of the division he's helped define. In a revealing interview with Russian channel Ushataika, Umar Nurmagomedov opened up about a tense confrontation with Nate Diaz that happened at UFC weigh-ins. The story shows a different side of these fighters. According to Umar, Diaz initially walked right past him, Khabib, and Islam Makhachev without saying a word. But as soon as there was some distance between them and security nearby, Diaz suddenly changed his behavior, pointing fingers and shouting across the room. Things escalated quickly when Diaz started throwing objects in their direction, clearly trying to provoke a reaction. But Khabib and his team weren't fazed by this behavior. Umar claimed they had already dealt with Diaz in the past and saw no reason to engage again. To them, this was just another instance of Nate stirring up trouble when he knew he was protected. Despite the tension, the situation never turned physical as security quickly stepped in before things could get out of hand. Nate's one of those guys who acts tough when security is around, Umar explained with frustration. When he walked past me, Khabib and Islam, he didn't do anything. If he really wanted to punch me or anyone, he was just one step away. But instead of actually doing it, he walked away and started pointing fingers and throwing stuff our way from a distance. He started it, but honestly, we don't care about that guy at all, Umar continued dismissively. We've already given him what he deserved. It was a long time ago and we smacked him. Now Umar is focused on bouncing back after experiencing his first career loss. He dominated Corey Sandhagen in August, securing his first main event win by unanimous decision. But later he suffered a setback against Merab Dvalishvili. Despite recently revealing a fractured arm that initially raised doubts about his availability, Umar is determined to return stronger in 2025. With plenty of big fights on the horizon, fans are eagerly waiting to see how Umar rebounds and what's next for him in the bantamweight division. What are your thoughts? Who do you think Umar faces in his comeback fight? Leave your comments below. On the ESPN YouTube channel, Daniel Cormier and Chael Sonnen shared their excitement about the upcoming fight between Michael Chandler and Paddy Pimblett. DC highlighted how Chandler fighting in Miami makes perfect sense, given that he trains in South Beach. He also noted that Chandler is at a point in his career where he's willing to give the next generation a chance, understanding that if Paddy can't handle the challenge, it would be a huge victory for Chandler. Chael completely agreed and warned that Paddy needs to be extremely cautious of Chandler's powerful right hand, emphasizing that Iron Mike could shut his lights out with one punch. However, Sonnen was particularly impressed by Paddy's performance against Bobby Green, saying he'd never seen him look better. He admitted his perspective on Pimblett has completely changed. He used to view him as more of a sideshow act, but after meeting him in person, he was genuinely impressed by the man behind the persona. Chael pointed out that Paddy is not just about flashy antics. He's a dedicated family man with a wife and 2 children. Sonnen emphasized that Paddy has already dealt with adversity, injuries, and controversy, showing tremendous growth and resilience with every fight.
This is a big fight. I love the idea that Michael Chandler gets to fight in Miami. He trains down there in South Beach. I love the idea that Paddy Pimblett gets an opportunity. You know, one of the problems at 155 is that these top 5, 6 guys have been unwilling to give the next guy, like you say, drop the ladder down and see if they can climb. Michael Chandler seems to be at a point in his career where he's going, I'll leave that ladder for the next guy, see if he can climb the mountain. But if he can't, that'll be a massive win for Chandler. But one thing Paddy Pimblett better realize, Chael, he cannot get hit by Iron Mike, because Mike will shut your lights out.
I agree with that. You know, the way I used to speak about Paddy is no longer how I see him. I mean, I used to kind of think this thing was a sideshow. I thought he'd be good for selling some tickets. And Daniel, he is not what you would think. First off, he's surrounded with professionals. Paddy's married with 2 children. I mean, Paddy's a man.
A heartfelt video on his YouTube channel, Israel Adesanya admitted that his mindset has completely changed following his recent losses. Chasing the title is no longer his main focus, and he seems at peace with this decision. Reflecting on his defeat to Dricus du Plessis, Izzy initially believed another title shot would come naturally, but now he's letting go of expectations. He acknowledges with wisdom that if everything he's already accomplished in the sport hasn't brought him satisfaction, another title won't necessarily change that. While he won't turn down an opportunity if it comes his way, for now he's simply enjoying life, training, and taking things as they come, showing a new level of maturity and perspective. Adesanya isn't paying any attention to critics who call him washed, firmly dismissing the notion. He fired back passionately, questioning how people who haven't even stepped into the fire themselves can possibly judge him. What do you think of Adesanya's new mindset? Is he taking the right approach, or should he still be chasing the title? Leave your comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for daily MMA news.